Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the financial mechanics of sustainability in real estate, specifically looking through the lens of the SASB standards. We're tackling a really fascinating challenge here. How do we actually measure the management of tenant sustainability impacts? We often picture green buildings as just having fancy solar panels or high-tech HVAC systems, right? But the real secret to real estate sustainability, it isn't just about the bricks and mortar. It's actually all about the lease agreements and the tenants inside.
Okay, picture this. It's kind of like having a roommate who leaves the AC blasting all summer long just because their name isn't on the electric bill. Imagine you own a massive commercial office building. You drop, say, $1 million on an ultra-efficient lighting and cooling system. Boom. The building uses way less energy, which is obviously fantastic for the planet. But here's the catch. Your tenants are the ones actually paying the utility bills, so their operating costs drop significantly. But you just spent $1 million without seeing a dime in direct financial return. If a landlord pays for all the green upgrades, but the tenant gets the lower utility bill, who really wins? Well, this fundamental disconnect, it's literally held back green real estate for decades.
To solve this split incentive, we have to turn to the SASB standards for the real estate sector. Now managed under the International Sustainability Standards Board, these guidelines really are the definitive framework. They tell real estate entities exactly how to account for these specific risks and opportunities. Crucially, they give us the precise metrics we need to measure exactly how well a landlord is managing their tenants' sustainability impacts. We're breaking this explainer down into 5 logical steps to completely demystify these accounting metrics. We'll hit 1. The tenant impact challenge, 2. Fixing the split incentive, 3. Cost recovery clauses, 4. The power of submetering, and 5. Crafting green leases. All right, Section 1, the tenant impact challenge. Let's look at the true source of a building's impact. Here's the reality. While landlords own the physical assets, it's the tenants who are actually consuming the massive amounts of energy and water day in and day out. Tenant operations truly dominate the sustainability impacts produced by the built environment. I mean, think about it. Tenants design and construct their leased spaces. They run their own equipment. They generate the waste. The building itself is really just a shell. The life inside that shell is what actually drives resource consumption. But even though these impacts are generated by the tenants, real estate owners still play a massively important role in influencing that behavior. Moving on to Section 2, fixing the split incentive. It's all about aligning financial interests. So the crux of the issue is that landlords historically have zero incentive to invest in resource efficiency if they can't see a return on that investment. This is formally known in the industry as the split incentive. It is a fundamental misalignment. Honestly, why would a real estate investment trust approve a massive capital expenditure for, say, water-saving fixtures or energy-efficient windows if the financial rewards, those lower monthly utility bills, go straight into the pockets of their tenants? They wouldn't. Without perfectly aligning these financial interests, achieving sustainability at scale is virtually impossible. Which brings us to Section 3, cost recovery clauses, and the financial mechanisms that actually fix this. Now, this is where the accounting gets incredibly clever. Enter the cost recovery clause. This is a mechanism written directly into a standard lease agreement. Essentially, it expands the usual list of operating expenses to include capital expenses that are specifically intended to save energy or water. So the landlord makes that big upfront investment to green the building, but the annual pass-through amount is then recovered from the tenants. This is usually determined by an amortization schedule or by calculating the projected utility savings. It's brilliant because it perfectly aligns the incentives for both parties. And to accurately measure this, SASB uses metric IFWORT 410A.1. This metric tracks the percentage of new leases containing these clauses, as well as the associated leased floor area. Now, tracking this percentage is of massive financial importance for investors trying to measure the management of tenant sustainability impacts. Why? Because when landlords successfully implement these cost recovery clauses for resource efficiency-related capital improvements, it completely unlocks the capital needed for efficiency upgrades. And those upgrades, they directly decrease operating costs, they boost tenant demand, and they ultimately drive asset value appreciation over time. It's a very direct indicator of a real estate portfolio's ability to modernize and increase its long-term financial yield. Let's roll into Section 4, the power of submetering, because you literally can't manage what you don't measure. Here we look at metric IFWORT 10.2. This tracks the leasable floor area of tenants who are separately submetered for grid electricity and water. And again, tracking this is of massive financial importance. Think about an entire office building sharing just one giant electricity meter.
Costs are usually just divided up by square footage, right? That means the tech tenant running incredibly energy-intensive servers 24/7 is paying the exact same rate per square foot as the accounting firm that just uses a few laptops. That makes no sense. Submetering fixes this. It ensures tenants are held financially accountable for their actual, exclusive consumption. And as you'd expect, when tenants pay for exactly what they use, resource consumption predictably drops.
It's also vital to notice how these distinct purchasing relationships directly dictate a landlord's ability to even gather data in the first place. The SASB standards make a clear distinction between resources purchased by landlord but consumed by the tenant versus resources directly purchased by the tenant. If a tenant buys their energy directly from the local utility, that data is totally outside the landlord's immediate control. Submetering bridges that exact gap. It allows landlords to gather the necessary data to actually benchmark building performance, all while empowering tenants to see the direct financial impact of their daily habits. When we view these hard data requirements side by side, a really clear picture emerges. By tracking both the cost recovery clauses and the tenant submetering percentages, investors gain a crystal clear quantitative view of exactly how effectively a real estate company is managing its tenant sustainability impacts. Finally, Section 5, Crafting Green Leases. Let's look at how this becomes standard practice.
This broader view is captured by SASB metric IFR 410A.3, which looks at the qualitative strategies for integrating sustainability directly into standard leases. So we're moving beyond just cost recovery here. This is about mandating minimum sustainability performance for tenant buildouts. It's about establishing shared resource reduction targets and legally agreeing to mutually share that utility data we just talked about. Ultimately, it's about shifting the lease from being just a purely transactional document to a true collaborative partnership for efficiency. And the really great news here, landlords do not have to start from scratch. They can leverage established third-party frameworks to seamlessly introduce these green clauses. Organizations like BOMA International, the Green Lease Leaders Program, and the U.S. Green Building Council all offer proven templates and principles. By adopting these existing frameworks, property owners can efficiently incentivize better tenant sustainability impacts while staying perfectly aligned with industry best practices. It's a total win-win. So as you consider the financial mechanics we've just explored, ask yourself, how will these modern, resource-efficient lease structures permanently alter the valuation of commercial real estate? We are rapidly moving away from an era where sustainability was just a nice-to-have perk. We're entering an era where cost recovery clauses and submetering are fundamental drivers of asset valuation and rental rates. When the financial incentives between landlords and tenants are finally perfectly aligned, the potential for resource conservation is absolutely limitless. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope this permanently changes the way you look at the buildings around you.